It's been 4 years since Maruti launched the Ciaz, and if you're familiar with the life cycle of these sort of cars, you'll know what that means. It's facelift time. Well, this is it, and I've been driving it outside of Bengaluru all of today. It's quite a lot to tell you, and I'm going to tell you everything that's new and what it's like to drive. Before we go any further though, what do you think about the updated Ciaz? Let us know in the comments, and be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon so you get pinged every time we upload something new. Right, back to the Ciaz. Well, a facelift means some changes on the outside, so I'm going to try and run through those real quickly. At the front, you'll notice the biggest change is the new grille and the new bumper. There's lots of chrome down here for the fog lamp surrounds, and there's a bit of chrome on the top here too. Also new are the headlamps. They're a little sharper this time. They're LED as well, and there's a new LED DRL signature, which looks nice, but a little bit familiar. Around the side, not much has changed, and that's just fine because you love the length of this car. But what is new are these alloy wheels. Different design and two-tone. At the back, these aren't LED tail lamps, but they do have a nice LED signature within them. And down here, there is a chrome garnish for the reflectors. And just as quickly, here's what's new inside. The dashboard is largely the same, but there's a new lighter shade of imitation wood trim, which is only slightly more convincing. The steering wheel has new buttons on the right side to operate the newly added cruise control. And the updated dials now feature the color MID screen from the Baleno with various interesting dials including a G-force meter. At the back, you still get vast amounts of legroom, but headroom and thigh support leave a bit to be desired. You will, however, like the addition of adjustable rear headrests. On the equipment front, there have been some additions like ESP on the automatic version, LED headlamps and cruise control. But some items that rivals offer are missing here, like a sunroof, side and curtain airbags and auto wipers. Now, since the diesel engine is the same as before, Maruti did not bring it along for the test drive. So, what we got to sample was the petrol version in both manual and automatic. Now, with a facelift, you expect the usual set of facelift typical changes, and they're all there. Cosmetic changes on the outside and on the inside, and a bit more equipment. However, this one also comes with an entirely new engine. That's right, the old 1.4-litre petrol engine has been replaced by this new K15B 1.5-litre petrol engine, and that makes its debut in India on the Ciaz. What is more interesting, however, is that like the diesel, this one is now a hybrid as well. That's right, it uses Maruti's SHVS hybrid system, and that means a few basic things like stop-start for the engine, an integrated starter generator, a torque boost system that Maruti says adds to the torque with a little bit of electric boost, and an additional lithium-ion battery to supply that boost. It also gets regenerative brakes that help charge the lithium-ion and the regular lead-acid battery. So what does it feel like in practice? Well, I'm driving the manual version right now, and what I can tell you is that at low revs, it feels nice and peppy. And that's great when you're driving in the city because it means you can make quick and easy progress without going too fast. Now, don't get me wrong, a lot has to be said about the joys of revving out a nice, naturally aspirated petrol engine like the one in the Honda City. But let's be honest, in everyday driving, do you really sit at 7,000 RPM? No, you don't. So it's an altogether more relaxed powertrain, and that suits this car just fine. If you do try to rev this engine out, it doesn't feel very willing. It feels a bit strained, and honestly, it does its best work before 3000 RPM, and that's where you should keep it for the most part. There's also no denying that this car's 105 horsepower output is a fair deal lower than its main rivals from Honda and Hyundai. Still, without a full load of people or luggage, which is the way I'm driving it right now, it does feel adequate, if not necessarily strong. Let me talk to you a little bit about the SHVS hybrid system. Now, it's a mild hybrid system, and that means it can't run entirely on electric mode. So let's get that out of the way right off the bat. What it does give you is stop-start. So every time you stop at a set of lights, it will cut the engine to save fuel. And I'm happy to report, even in this manual version, the seamlessness with which it works is really top class. And since we're out on the highway, I'm going to have to pull over on the side to demonstrate what that looks like. There, simply bring the car to a halt, put it in neutral and take your foot off the clutch, and the engine has been switched off. It's quite seamless and works really rather impressively. Then, to set off again, simply depress the clutch and the engine is back on. As for that torque boost system, you can tell when it's working by looking at the graphic on the MID screen, but you can't really feel it. Maybe it's a credit to how seamlessly the system works, but quite frankly, I can't tell that the torque boost is there or if it's working at any point. Perhaps it's just the new engine that's a little bit stronger. As you climb the rev band, it's clear that the rate of acceleration starts to drop, and it starts to feel strained. So, as with the previous engine, this one has more of a relaxed demeanor. And that's true of the suspension as well. The ride is comfortable, if a little bit choppy at times, and it's really not one for handling, but that's okay. This is not a racer, it suits its personality just fine. We did also get some brief time with the petrol auto version, and before you ask, no, there will not be a diesel automatic version. Now, as with the pre-facelift car, you can get the petrol version of the Ciaz with an automatic gearbox. And it's the same automatic gearbox as before, which is a 4-speed torque converter automatic. And if that sounds a bit old school to you, that's because it is. Now, there's no doubt it gives you that convenience factor, especially in the city when you're moving gently and slowly, and it doesn't stress out the gearbox too much. However, as you might imagine with an old school gearbox like this, when you ask a bit more of it, that's when the cracks start to show. For instance, I'm currently at about 2000 RPM, and if I floor it, the revs just jump, but the acceleration doesn't build up quite as quickly. Still, I am glad that Maruti chose to stay with the torque converter, which is smoother than going with something like an AMT. Now, if you're curious about the various beeps you might have heard during this video, that's because the Ciaz has been fitted with a speed warning system. It beeps once every 30 seconds after 80 kph and then beeps non-stop once you cross 120 kph. And it cannot be turned off. This is not a flaw in the Ciaz, but something the government is allegedly going to make mandatory for all new cars sometime in 2019. While it might help reduce instances of speeding, suffice to say, drives are about to get a lot more annoying. More useful is the seatbelt warning system for the front passengers. So with the updates, Maruti has certainly brought the Ciaz closer to its more modern rivals. The new petrol engine with its hybrid system should be especially efficient in city driving. However, the proposition of the Ciaz has not changed at all. It is still the sensible one, the one that scores high on fuel economy, space, practicality and value for money. Now, of course, this might not be the one you choose with your heart. If you like driving and you enjoy being thrilled by the car, certain rivals might do it better. However, if you're buying this car with your head, the Ciaz has gotten a whole lot better.